Hi all, happy Thursday. Welcome back to Let's Laugh About It podcast, the not so serious business podcast hosted by yours truly, Zoe Kahn. And this week we have a special podcast swap. I was recently a guest on the one and only DTC Podcast hosted by Eric Dyck, and I wanted to share the episode with you guys here. We dove into different topics around retail-focused brands, how to collect consumer data when D2C isn't an option, and Eric shared some hilarious, laughable moments from his career. I'm going to go ahead and link all of Eric's and the D2C Podcast newsletter info all in the show notes, so please be sure to go show them some love and follow their pages. I hope you guys enjoy this. If you haven't already, please rate, subscribe, do all the things that you could to support our podcast and newsletter and all of that. All that information is in the show notes as well. It goes a long, long way, and we really appreciate all the support. And we'll catch you next week. Enjoy, guys.
The better for you soda space is like a knife fight these days. How are you breaking through in this space?
You have to find something that sets yourself apart from the other brands and not be afraid of it being oversaturated. We've been able to build our lists through digital couponing and QR codes, specifically at events. Even if you are D2C and you have a good list, it's something that you shouldn't forget to do because AI, we are very AI friendly. Biggest thing is that we just remind our team that anything you do more than once can probably be automated. So if you're pulling data or creating marketing plans, make sure you're using AI so that you can work smarter rather than harder.
Zoe, welcome to the D2C Podcast. Last time I saw you, we were at Hakkasan. Good times in Las Vegas at Shop Talk.
Yes. I was thinking it was at the what was the Prohibition bar before? You have a better memory than me because it was Hakkasan.
We made it all the way to bottle service. And I think I flew out early that morning, so I took off quietly. But I thought it'd be a great opportunity to kind of round back up and chat a little bit. I was just going over your LinkedIn before this, and you have had quite an eclectic career so far.
I'm so old and young at the same time for my LinkedIn.
You've been in the fitness world previously.
Yes, yeah. So I actually wanted to be a dietitian. So I thought that the fitness world is a great place to kind of learn and put yourself through all the motions. And I competed in bodybuilding and bikini bodybuilding, and it taught me a ton. And I worked at GNC, and I was trying to just embrace all of the different fitness things, supplements to prepare myself to be a dietitian. And then while I was in school to be a dietitian, I started working at Ghost, the energy drinks and supplements, and started to learn e-commerce from that. But the reason why I was so involved in supplements was I was trying to prepare myself to be the best dietitian that I could be. And then took a break from school because I loved e-commerce, and then everything snowballed to where I am today.
Amazing. And you spent some time at Chomps. That must have been a ride there as well.
Yeah, Chomps was great. I did customer experience and retention there, and actually was really grateful for accidentally being put into the retention part because our retention person left for another opportunity. And so they said, Zoe, do you want to do it? And I'm like, I don't know. Sure. And then I read our good friend Carly's book, Email is Not Dead. And I got a mentor, and that's how I learned retention.
Oh, amazing. Full circle moment. And it's kind of neat how your career, you started in nutrition and your career has kind of followed these sort of nutritional style things with Chomps and now with Cove Soda, which is a Canadian company.
Yeah. And I was so excited to see Eric at Shop Talk and say, wait, you know Cove? Because Cove Soda just came to the U.S. about a year and a half ago, but is large in Canada, a better for you option. Might I say the Olipop or Poppy of Canada.
Yeah, I think that works. What's been the most kind of interesting thing about that ride? Because you guys are, I think I read you're in sort of 7,000 doors at this point.
Yeah. So the most interesting thing for Cove for me has been the challenge of not having D2C and really being that like retail, how to like capture your audience and not be able to speak to them directly, or how do you speak to them directly? And it's just been interesting to see, like we've done a couple events while I've been here. Right now I'm the VP of marketing, and as an interim, while they're finding a long-term person. But at events, you see people in the US, they're like, oh, I don't know what it is. But then like a random Canadian will stroll by and be like, Cove in the US. And so it's been really, really fun to see. And it reminds me of like my days at Ghosts and Chomps, my earlier days, when you're talking to people, you're like, oh yeah, I work here, or here's a sample of this, and they don't know what it is. And then slowly but surely you start meeting more people that know what it is, and you're like, wow, these efforts that I'm making are like impacting the country. People are learning about the brands I'm working for. So it's really cool. I love this phase of a company.
Did a podcast, I guess it was maybe last year, with Rob Fraser from Outweigh, and he had built the brand in Canada and really built the ground game out when it comes to being at events and getting the brand out there. And they're putting a big effort on the US, and they have been for the past couple of years. I'm excited to catch up with Taylor Fraser actually tomorrow on a podcast about that. How has it been taking a brand that has a good foothold in a smaller country like Canada and bringing it to the US? Like, does the US care that it's big in Ottawa?
I would say what's been interesting is that like the US doesn't seem like they care in the way that, like, I know that one of the challenges for the Canadian audience is that Canada is like they're like really proud that the brand is from Canada, but in the US, it's a little bit easier to launch new flavors and everything. So our Canadians are a little upset that like US, they'll see some flavors in the US and they don't really understand all of the logistics and the operational difficulties. And and then in the US, they don't understand how like lucky they are to get these new flavors and everything. And I would say that like the US, from what I see, like people are like, oh, cool, it's a Canadian brand, but like they don't really care. But in Canada, they're really, really proud of it, which is cool. Like I love that. But it's a little bit hard to like balance that challenge of wanting to like foster our Canadians because they are like what made the brand, but then being able to like test things in the US market.
Did the Canadian pride thing, was that something you noticed before all this, Trump hoopla around the 51st day? Because it's funny, I don't think of us as like the most patriotic in terms of like, although we kind of are like that with our celebrities. We love to point out when a celebrity is secretly Canadian, I guess. So maybe it's like the same for brands.
Lavigne.
Oh, thanks for bringing up Avril Lavigne. She never gets talked about on this podcast.
Yeah, she's my role model. She made me.
How so?
I don't know. I just like remember my whole childhood. I was like rocking out to her music, and I was a little skater boy, and I was like a tomboy just trying to be. I bought her, like the biggest thing that I bought when I was a kid was I saved up. I literally went to Guitar Center with like pennies and like change as part of my payment to buy the Avril Lavigne custom guitar. And I remember I'm like, money is money. And the Guitar Center employees are like, great, now I have to count like 300 pennies so that you can get this.
Wow. Love to hear it. So the Better For You soda brand space is like a knife fight these days. There's so many that, you've got Olipop and Poppy, Poppy's doing Super Bowl commercials at this point. In a space where you don't have that D2C, you don't have your customer right in front of you, how are you thinking about building loyalty and actually like breaking through in this space?
It's an interesting perspective where it feels like oversaturated, but that's not how I look at it. And I think that that's like the beauty of it. And you can't like close your mind off to it because if you look at just like beverage in general, or even like if you look at examples like beer or supplements, like I always think about supplements. Like I used to work retail in GNC, and there's like 15 different brands of supplements that have something that's very similar, but like people are buying all of the different brands, and you have to like find something that sets yourself apart from the other brands and not be afraid of it being oversaturated. Otherwise, you're going to just get consumed by like the other brands. But you do have to keep all the other brands in mind to like keep up with the trends and make sure that you are setting yourself apart. And for Cove Soda, one of the things that sets us apart is 0 sugar. A lot of the brands have a couple grams of sugar. And so we can cater to the people who really care about having 0 sugar and great taste. I love fun drinks, and I'm not a hater. We're very friendly, like competition, I would say. But one of the comments that we get a lot is, wow, this tastes better than a lot of the better for you sodas. So that is definitely a differentiator. And it's important to talk about those things. Otherwise, you're just another brand on the shelf next to everyone else.
I was just looking at your post you recently made on LinkedIn, and it's sort of 3 unique ways that you're collecting consumer data in a world where you don't have this D2C side of things. And your first one is QR codes on the product. I feel like COVID brought QR codes back from the dead in a big way. Talk to me about how you're using QR codes at Cove and how it's working.
Yeah, our first test with this, because since we're not D2C, so nobody has like a reason to visit our website unless they're just curious. And a lot of D2C brands build their lists, email, SMS, from purchases on the site and people soft complying to marketing, and the pop-up on the site with an offer. But we don't have a lot of people visiting our site. So like one of the things is like trying to figure out, give people a reason to visit. But it's really important that one of the things that we've been able to build our lists through digital couponing and QR codes specifically at events. And I think that a lot of brands, even if you are a D2C and you have a good list, it's something that you shouldn't forget to do, because a lot of times we're going to these events or activations, these in-person things, and handing out samples, which is great for brand awareness. But people are so happy to give their email in exchange for like one can. Sometimes as marketers, we might feel like, especially as we're getting these like cans for free, you're like, people are going to give us your data for just a free can. But people love free stuff, and if you're offering samples, like little sample cups to everybody, if they don't need to give your email, but you get a full can in exchange for your email or SMS, like we have been able to grow our lists, and it's really great because then we can announce to our email list and SMS list when we launch in new retailers, when we get a new flavor and all that, which is something that we were missing. And one of the challenges that we have had, like I mentioned before, is talking to our different demographics geographically. So like, when we post on our Instagram, we're talking to both all of our Canadians and all of our Americans, but then some of the updates aren't relevant to either of those communities. So if we have our email and SMS list, we can target like, hey, this is just happening in the US. There's no need to bother our Canadians. Or, hey, this is just happening in Canada. We don't need to bother our Americans and like upset anyone or
trigger anyone,
bog down their feed.
Make our elbows go up.
Exactly.
Talk to me about your ground game. Like you mentioned events a couple times here. How do you go about selecting the events that you want to be at?
The first thing is figuring out the demographics of who's going to be there. So, and does that match our target demographic? And, just the success of the event. So a lot of the bigger events, especially ones that you have to like pay for a table at or pay for a booth at, they'll always give you those like demographics. And so it's matching the like look and feel of our brand. Like we're a fun, better for you brand with a demographic of 25 to 30 years old. So do the people who are attending those events, do they match that demographic? And then like a lot of different things like operationally, like do we have marketing assets in that state? Is it like all the budget things of we've been doing a lot in California because we've got our assets there and we save money. So there's like all different kinds of like budget approval operation things that we need to consider. But as long as the demographic matches, it's always good to get in front of those crowds and sample and collect emails and have fun.
I think that's a big one. Most people just think about sampling, where you're just you're hoping they'll come back because they love the product, but actually doing the swap at the place for an email makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, and it takes 2 seconds. And our team, like, it's kind of scary to like start to do, but then you'll see like it's crazy. People just start a line and they finish filling it out. They show you when they're done. You hand them the can, it also gives you an opportunity to slow down and talk about the product. When you're just handing out a sample, people grab it while they're walking and sip it. But this gives us a chance, like they're just filling out mindless a sheet with their email and SMS, and you get to tell them like, we're at Sprouts, we're at Target, we're zero sugar and better for you. Like, have you tried us before? And so it also gives you that opportunity to like actually make an impact rather than just hand something to someone and they forget 10 seconds later.
Very cool. And you guys are on Amazon too, right? Is that under your purview?
Yeah. Amazon has been a journey too, because being able to build up the inventory and be prime 2-day shipping has been a journey. But now we finally have enough inventory, so we'll be starting to market towards that as well.
What'll be your plan for that? Just basically using ads, bidding on long tail keywords to start and working up towards larger ones?
So we have a Amazon partner, and I'm not going to pretend to know the whole Amazon game, but I will talk about the retention side of it. We're excited because, again, we don't have D2C, but now we can use attribution links to link to Amazon and at least show, like, in our retention efforts, bringing people to Amazon to click the link, see if they purchase, see what people are interested, be able to test different types of graphics and wording and copywriting in our emails. So that's like we're excited about being able to attribute that. And then there is a whole Amazon team that's making sure, like, I know that every market has to worry about this, but like other brands are buying our keywords and having to compete against that. So our Amazon team is like handling that. Yeah, I'm not going to pretend to know the whole Amazon game.
The whole ecosystem. And then have you guys tested D2C and just decided it's not right for the business? Or what's the reasoning for not investing in D2C at this point in the business?
Great question. Beverages are heavy and shipping costs are really, really hard to fight and be profitable. One of the things that is on the list to explore, but we're a pretty small, scrappy team, but we're thinking maybe about exploring subscription. I don't want to get anyone excited, but subscription could be an avenue of where we could, but even then it takes a couple orders to be profitable with the shipping, or people aren't going to want to pay shipping costs if we charge it. So really it is the shipping costs and being able to figure out how to make it make sense.
Just my standard question these days. I just was at the Whaley's and I was chatting with True Classic about their 100% agentic media buying. We at Pilot House at D2C actually have started an agent named Gary who does our media buying for the lead gen for the newsletter. Are there any innovative ways that you're enjoying using AI, or are you anti-AI?
No. I'm
no such thing.
AI. We are very AI friendly. So many different ways. Like, biggest thing is that we just remind our team that like anything you do more than once can probably be automated. So if you're pulling data or doing the same thing, creating marketing plans, like, you make sure you're using AI first so that you can work smarter rather than harder. We've been a big fan of the Claude, Google Chrome input, like, what's it called? What is it called?
The interface that crawls it.
Yeah. And then creating agents based on I think the biggest thing for us is pulling data, because we always have to to have that data to back up our efforts and then present it to the board, et cetera. So it kind of sucks when you're like, you want to be in this creative mindset and like be a marketer, but then you have to take 10 steps back and like spend so much time pulling data and everything. So I think that's one of our biggest ways, but nothing super like sexy or anything, any tips that I can share besides that.
What data is it, like for your business is the most important to pull that your board's looking for?
Right now, what's been kind of top of mind is actually influencer data and impressions. We use a tool called Aspire right now to organize all of our influencers. But no matter what tool you have, and like a lot of times it's not presented in the way that some like your manager or your board wants to see it. And so pulling data from there. And then we also use it for consumer support to pull data for feedback or complaints or anything that might go wrong. Being able to pull, say like, hey, these are the things that we pull. This is how we do it. Can you redo it? And then have, train the AI to continue to do it while you're doing other things.
Let's talk about your podcast a little bit. It's Let's Laugh About It is your podcast. I think it's awesome because when we started D2C newsletter, and I was right, I think I wrote the first 20 or 30 issues. And at the time we were like one of the only podcasts in the space or newsletters in the space. It's before everyone kind of jumped in. And we really we were sort of like reacting to the old sort of like LinkedIn content model of just being sort of boring and basic, and we really wanted to bring humor into this space. We work with so many other people who are in similar phases of life, whether they're young or building a family or whatever. There's so many things that we share in this space. People are so open and honest as they're doing this. They're so willing to help each other grow, and at the same time, there's a lot to commiserate about because we're working so hard, because we're moving so fast, because we're breaking things. There's a real opportunity to laugh at the things that we're doing. And we infuse that into what we were doing right from the beginning. We always talked about our tone being wry, in that we'd sort of seen a lot of changes in the industry. We're like, okay, what's next? And we're sort of being stoic about building in this space, but recognizing that there's a lot of opportunity for shared humor and commiseration. What was the reason that you decided to start a podcast about the humorous side of this business?
Yeah, great question. What we're doing isn't life or death. But like when you get the pressure of like performing and everything, if for some reason it starts to feel like life or death, but really like we're selling soda or deodorant or like underwear, like it's really not life or death. And I think that reminding yourself to laugh and like learn from your mistakes and share and be vulnerable is really important in this space, because it's not life or death. And one of my first e-commerce, or actually the first e-commerce event that I went to or conference, I felt really awkward meeting people because, yeah, I know you're like, you
must have a lot of trouble meeting people.
I was so nervous. And so, and everyone's like, same thing as what you said about the LinkedIn. It's like, everyone's like, so like, business casual and like I'm from this state and this is what I'm doing in my career and this is like what's impressive, whatever. And so I was kind of like bored, and I'm like, it feel like it also comes off unauthentic to me. So I was like, I'm going to start asking people, those normal things, but what's the biggest mistake you made in your career? And it kind of threw people off and like made people laugh, and they started telling me stories that were so funny that like things I wouldn't, it was just great. And it like brought humor. And then, someone would be by themselves and we'd invite them over and be like, we're talking about our biggest mistakes. Like, we don't care about any, the like impressive things. Tell us what you made. And then the person would share their story, and it really like brought people together. And it gave me the idea, like, let's make this wouldn't that be funny if I made a podcast about this? And that's how it started. And I never expected to I didn't even understand. I was just like, I think people would like to listen to this. But I didn't understand the podcast world with sponsors or like the opportunity or anything. But I've been now like traveling around, recording with different brands and had sponsors and all these things. So it's been a fun, lighthearted way to talk about business that's not so serious.
And it just bonds you with the people. That's the thing that I've always, just having a podcast, there's always like humorous moments, even in the more business oriented ones that I do. But just the rapport that it builds with someone when you have these sort of like transparent conversations, it's just been so incredible for network building. Like if I were to reach out to half the people that I've ever talked to and say, hey, I run content for a omni-channel digital marketing agency, and I'd love to chat with you. That they would never respond to that in the LinkedIn world. But when it's like, I have a platform and let's connect, and our audience will love it, and you'll get exposed to this many people. It's just it just changes the conversation so much. And it's like I'm constantly advising people who are like especially in the B2B space. I'm like, and if anyone ever tells you that there's like too many podcasts in the world, like tell them to shut up, because it's like it's the lowest barrier to entry medium you can have. And it's one of the things that is least likely to be disrupted, I think, by AI content are these like human conversations that people are having with each other, the vulnerability, the insights, all those things. In a world where Google could start summarizing newsletters tomorrow, or is already summarizing newsletters, I feel like the podcast is a great thing to have.
And it's low cost. Like I started off like, and you're doing it too, like just getting on a call virtually. You can talk to anybody. And one of my favorite things about it is it's like not like a lot of things in the space is like, oh, if I give you this, I did you a favor, or it's like, no, we're just getting on a
transactional.
Yeah. There's so much transactional business going on. And I love the podcast world because it's like, let's just take a break and like chat.
Do you? I guess you're going to ask me about some funny things that have happened to me. What are some of your go-to humorous stories? Are they? I imagine they're happening all the time. Any that jump to mind about things that you've laughed about in this industry?
Some of my favorite stories are things that like we can learn from too, and definitely things from my early on in my career. Like one time we. We thought we were preparing for a big launch that we had, and it was at Ghost, and I can talk about this because it was well known because it affected consumers, and it was kind of like silly. Every month we dropped a new colored shaker cup, or a new type of shaker cup, and people love these shaker cups. Like they collected them, it's exclusive, you only have whatever, and so we thought we were preparing to get ahead of the game, and our 3PL prepped all these shaker cup boxes because they knew that they're going to get a bunch of orders of just one shaker cup, and packed them all up. And then if someone ordered something else, they would throw that item in there, pack it up, send it. We started getting our launches always happened on a Thursday. And we started getting, and I'm just like a workaholic. And so I'm always looking at things. We started getting consumer questions about the shaker cup on Saturday and Sunday. And it was like the same thing. Like my shaker cup is different. Like this isn't the one that I thought that whatever. And it turned out that we had pre-packed like I think it was almost 700 packages of the wrong item. And I didn't have a team large enough to like handle that, like having to think through that process. It was like one of my my first like big problem solving of like, there was no AI then. There was no automations. I didn't use offshore. Like I was very much like old school, scrappy thinking, and early on to my career, and it really like challenged me, and it sucked because I also am a really big proponent of like, as a leader, I don't like asking for my team to like work over hours or whatever, but like I love to like set them up for success. And so I like stayed up all night making spreadsheets and like figuring out how to like answer all of these emails in a mass fashion without all of these like automations that we have today. And now I look back and I laugh about it because I'm like, it was just shaker cups, but it felt like the end of the world at the time. Like it felt like people were dying.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that. It reminds me of a lot of mine. I have a lot of like little ones that come from like early in my career. Because I started like in performance marketing in like 2004 or something, like such a long time ago. The most recent one was handing our keys over to a Upwork contractor who was helping us like rebuild our site without properly like vetting him. And he literally deleted our whole site. He deleted it in a way that we had to go like really deep with Webflow to like even get some of it back. And it was just one of those like you have to laugh instead of crying type moments, because he was like, it was like we ended up having like conversations with him after the fact. He's like, you gave me the whole keys to your website. I had no choice but to like destroy everything that you'd created. It was like a Joker, like some men just want to watch the world burn type things. And so that was a big, hilarious in retrospect, but in the moment, it was a big deal that we had not vetted this guy properly and we'd given him full
it's not
access.
funny at the time, but then you look back and you're like, okay, now that we've gotten over it, I can laugh about it, which is like, there's beauty in it.
What's it called? Type 2 fun. I'm hearing a lot of people talk about type 2 fun. That's maybe type 3 fun, which is like, it's not fun in the moment, not fun after the fact, really, but still a little bit humorous.
Yeah. And just like there's always something happens. Like I just spent 10 days in the Philippines, and literally like on our way there, one of my employees, she sat behind and we were like, this is a 11-hour flight. And so we're like trying to work on the flight and everything. And one of my employees, she sits down and she's got a bunch of work like that she saved for the flight. And she's got her bag under the thing, and the kid in front of her spills his entire water on her bag and fries her laptop. And we're on the way to the Philippines. We don't have and then like we get there and it's not turning on, and we're like we're going to be in the Philippines for 10 days, and like they don't have Apple stores with like, all these things. And it feels like shit just happens when it's like not supposed to. And it's really not funny at the time, but then you just laugh about it later.
Yeah. Here's a couple others that I curated for like early in my career when I started this affiliate marketing company. One of the things that we were doing was promoting ringtones. And so the first out of the gate, I was promoting these ringtones, and I was promoting Little John ringtones. And being green, I didn't know that you couldn't bid on like his name. And so I built these whole campaigns on AdWords, was what I called it back then, around Little John. And we actually got a cease and desist from Little John. And it was like, what? Okay. It didn't actually say that. It was actually his lawyer. But it was my first claim to fame that I'd received a cease and desist from Little John in like 2005 or 6 or whatever that was.
That's amazing. Did you frame it?
No, I really wish I did. Those years, there were so many funny. The other funny thing that we did was we were building these reg paths were a really big thing where you'd like create some content. We used to create quizzes. One of them was the emo quiz. We created the emo quiz, and it was one of the funnier things I'd ever written, where it was like, I was asking, so what you'd do basically is you'd create this 20-question quiz, and then people would have to go through this endless reg path, and where they'd select offers. Yes, no, I want the Little John ringtones. No, I don't. And then at the end of it, they'd get their results. And so I created the emo quiz to figure out if you were emo.
But you can't get your results unless you give your information. Is that what it is?
You could select no on all of the offers, and then you'd eventually get it. And we were always changing different reg paths and adding things in, but we were crushing with these. We were doing $10,000 a day in profit just on these little quizzes, and they gained a fair amount of notoriety. And one of them got picked up. The emo quiz got picked up by like a Denver 7 news report that was like this fear-mongering news report that I ended up getting sent to me. And it was like, your kid might be emo. He's like, there's online communities, there's music, there's TV shows, there's even an online quiz. And then it shows my Are You Emo quiz. And it had one of the questions, which was, when you think about life, do you think of the glass half empty, half full, or full of blood? And it was like reading these funny things that I had created as like seriously. And when we saw so much traffic spike from the emo quiz, because obviously all the scared folks watching this would want to know if their child was emo or if they were emo. And we just had our tongue firmly planted in our cheek. But that was a good
That's
one.
amazing. I definitely took all those quizzes, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if Eric made them. That was such a big thing because like the internet was so simple that it was like, what else are you going to do on the internet besides take a bunch of quizzes and find out if you're emo or not?
Yeah, we did it. The very first thing we did was called Vote for Prizes. Just these simple votes where you'd put in your email address. And the craziest thing was, I think it was probably 6 months into me starting at this affiliate marketing company, we actually had to give away a prize. We gave away a $10,000 prize to someone that had, and we just picked one of the emails and like trying to like communicate to this person that they had actually won money from this thing that they had done however long ago. And like, they just kept hanging up on us. We could not give this person the money that we had to by law give because we had promised this. Of course they thought it was a scam. Who wouldn't? But it was actually this one time where we were like, no, we want to send you like a money order. I think it was for $5,000 or $10,000 because we'd made hundreds from this offer. And we just couldn't get it through to them that this was a real thing and that we actually wanted to send them money. Fair enough, I guess. But it was like that was an eye-opening experience.
That would be a good YouTube series of like trying to deliver, and you go like, what lengths do you go to? You like start by calling them and then you like show up at their door with just like a case of money.
That's the only way you'd have to do it. You have to actually show it to them because otherwise they think you're scamming because 9 times out of 10 people are. We're Canadians. We can't do that. And then the last one is my biggest claim to lame, I call it, was I used to do all the ads for this company called bids.com, which was an online jewelry retailer. And I don't know if you, during the, what was it? It was the first Obama election or maybe this, I forget. It was when Sarah Palin was running. And Sarah Palin was the first Hillary Clinton in that she conducted state business on her Yahoo email. And then her Yahoo email got hacked and spread all around the internet to be like, Sarah Palin's using private email for public offices. But all over her email were the ads that I had designed, where I was just like, bids.com was targeting Sarah Palin, and I'm sure she would have bought one of our cheesy pieces of jewelry from one of my ads. So I was like, that's pretty cool.
That's so cool. It almost feels like you're at a sports game and you get like a little like show on TV. But like it's your ad on Sarah Palin. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, you have to dig all that up and frame them.
I will have to try to dig them up. The one that I won't would be my biggest fuck up, which was, again, this was from early in my career. This was from like 2009 or 10 maybe. And I don't know if you've heard of AppNexus. They're this huge display portal that has now, I think, been bought and sold maybe several times. They're really big in the app world. And their founder's named Brian O'Kelly, who's this like legend in the space at this point in the ad tech space. I had gotten onto AppNexus early, and it was this whole like real-time bidding, demand-side platform type thing. And it was used to being plugged into like actual huge companies that were doing all this bidding, but I had done all this performance marketing and I was like, I want to plug into this system and buy on this traffic. And they didn't even have a self-serve option, but I worked directly with this Brian O'Kelly guy because we'd built this connection at a trade show. And he kind of like helped build the interface like specifically for us to do some self-serve advertising on some of our big clients like Bids and some of these other dating networks that we were doing. And the interface wasn't fully clear the way he'd built it. And then we'd kind of like done this skunkworks type thing to get it up and running, turn the ads on, turn my head for probably 2 hours or something. And we had spent $42,000 and made less than $1,000 in those 2 hours because there weren't governors on it. There weren't anything to kind of slow it down. And that was by far my biggest fuck up, was a 42 grand overspend in 2 hours. That was tough to sort out. Brian and I kind of parted ways after that. Didn't work out well.
That makes me feel a little bit better about my life.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Isn't that scary though? The money, and like, especially I remember, like asking for like budget for like something that costs like $1,000 and being like so scared of like writing an email to my manager being like, I need like this for this. And just like thinking about like the money that the businesses spend overall. And then I don't know how you feel about the 42K now, but it's probably still hurts. But then you're like, the more and more you grow in your career and like see money going in and out, like hopefully it feels less painful.
It does, but it just reminds you that each of these platforms, all the platforms have better guardrails at this point. And this was just because we were kind of running ahead together, and we ended up kind of sharing the mistake on that a little bit. But it's like is a reminder that all these platforms are set up, out of the box to take as much of your money as they ostensibly can. And I think that's why performance marketing and why humans in the loop on this whole media buying process, like my whole career has been this like balance between testing new features on platforms and using it like your reps tell you to use it versus thinking like an affiliate or thinking like a crafty marketer and isolating certain things to make sure that you're in control of what happens. And it's constantly shifting especially in the last several years towards giving more and more control to the algorithms and to the machines. But I still know so many like old school media buyers that are like, oh no, you gotta set it up this way. You don't trust that fully. You gotta do it this way. It's always interesting negotiating that.
Well, in tech too, it's like, you probably weren't thinking about it at the time, but like when someone's building something for you, you're like the guinea pig. And so it's like, that's what I, early on in my career, and there was like, you're asking for these things from tech companies and they're like happy to build it for you because if you're asking for it, someone else is going to ask for it too. And, especially with AI, when all of the AI updates were happening, I really was like, I guess like kind of in a scared way, but also more in, I would say like a smart way. Just like taking a step back and just watching what happened first, because I just knew like the brands that I was working on, I'm like, I do not want to be the guinea pig for like some of these AI things early on, kind of just like take a step back, watch what happens, learn from people who are the guinea pigs before like subjecting your brands to it.
And it feels like we're in one of those moments right now where people they're over projecting what AI can do for them. I think one of the areas is we just built for our agency community business, we just built a custom dashboard. And I feel like dashboards are something that every brand out there should spend some time on Claude or wherever. And there's no reason you should really be buying an out-of-the-box dashboard at this point or something that gives you your business metrics. You should really be building your own because it's so easy at this point.
Yeah. And just taking some time to do, like sometimes it feels like taking 2 steps back and like learning something so new, but it really does, like if you just take an hour and learn or just take some time with the AI, you can get ahead. And it's so important because it's moving so fast.
Well, Zoe, thank you for coming on the DTC podcast. If you're listening to the DTC podcast and you're like, I wish Eric was funnier, I wish we could talk more about funny things, then you should definitely subscribe to Let's Laugh About It by Zoe Kahn. Anything else you'd like to add or ask me for your side of this cross-publish episode?
Oh, I would love for you to plug some of your where because I'm going to be posting this on my podcast. And so anything that you would like to plug for our listeners, would love for them to send them your way.
Yeah, well, just subscribe to the D2C newsletter every day, 5 days a week. We're sending out, there's always a humorous aspect to it. We always have a meme. So it starts with a meme to make it's like a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. And then 5 days a week, we're delivering sort of tactical insights that we derive from our relationship with Pilot House, where we have team members on the front lines of sort of every traffic platform delivering what they're working on right now, what's working, what's not, in a way that AI can't provide. We're providing this information on a daily basis in a way that AI just can't match. It's one of the few things. And then, check out the D2C podcast. 600 episodes in now, doing new ones all the time. And or anyone, or my third thing would be anyone who's building a digital agency. We've started the EO or YPO. I don't know if you're familiar with those. They're entrepreneur organizations, super old, decades old organizations. We're providing the community portal, the community relationships for agency founders specifically. So we're up to, I think, 75 members now of our 7-figure plus agency community called Agency, which is maybe a little confusing. And if you're building an agency and you want to feel less alone doing it, then maybe check out joinagency.co.
Ooh, I need to join that for Inevitable. I think, I know we're wrapping up, but I've had some like lonely moments in the agency world that I'm like, I gotta talk to other people, because same thing with being vulnerable and laughing about mistakes. It's like, there's some some rough times in the agency world too.
100%. Yeah. Well, thanks, Zoe. This was always fun to connect. Are you going to be at any trade shows in the future that we can end up at Hakkasan over?
Shop talk is always on the table. So, but it's kind of a slower. I don't know what's coming up. I miss the Whaleys. I love the Whaleys. So I have to go to that next year too. But are you going to anything? Should I go to something?
We are. I think we're just working right now with a sponsor. We're going to be putting on a dinner in July in Austin, which I've heard going to Austin in July is a fool's gambit, just with how hot it's going to be.
It is, yeah.
I'm excited about that. And I think we're also going to go to K-Boss this year for Clavio's show in Boston in August or September. And we're just looking at other ones. We started doing these dinners. We did a dinner off the back of the Whaleys and connected a bunch of brands, and it was fantastic. So we'll be looking at doing, I think, more of those dinners in and around other events, just kind of bringing people together. It's kind of like we do this content all the time on the newsletter and podcast, and we sort of have this digital community from people that consume our content. But really, we've found when you're able to bring people together and they're able to deepen the connection that they have, share a cocktail at Hakkasan, or have their own cocktail, share a bottle service at Hakkasan, someone else's bottle. Thanks, Postpilot. Shout out Postpilot.
Postpilot, stay alive.
Thanks for the bottle service. But yeah, we just like when you put people that are all building together in the same room, your work is almost done, just because the connections they build and the things that they're able to share with each other kind of create the value. And again, we're always looking for ways that we can provide value to this community that AI can't. And so I think bringing people together, getting out in person is a big one for that.
That's huge. And that's one of my favorite parts about this industry is the community and being able to take a break from the hard work and connect with people in real life. It's awesome. So I'll have to check those out, and maybe I'll make an appearance at some of those.
And go check out Cove Soda. If you're in Canada, you already know about it. It's coming out of the faucets here in Canada. If you're in the US, go find some Cove Soda and let us know what you think.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. If you're not a subscriber to our newsletter, you can do that right now at directtoconsumer.co. I'm Eric Dyck, and this has been the DTC Podcast. We'll see you next time.